Hi, and welcome to Be Your Own Best Coach Conversations, where you can learn to accelerate your career with self-leadership skills and habits. I'm Glen Lubbert, one of the co-founders of Be Your Own Best Coach. Once again, I'm here with my colleague and fellow co-founder, Dr. Deborah Teplow. Hi, Deborah.
Hi.
So today we are beginning a series of episodes on procrastination. Procrastination can jeopardize your productivity, financial stability, health, and even your overall happiness and well-being. However, is procrastination all bad? In this episode, we discuss whether procrastination can be good. So what do you think, Deborah? Can procrastination be good? And how can we use procrastination to help us?
Oh, that is such a juicy question. And for people who really suffer and struggle with procrastination, I wonder if they're scratching their head saying, are you kidding? How can procrastination possibly be good? How can it be anything but bad? So the question is there a downside to trying to totally annihilate procrastination? Can you overdo your effort to eliminate all procrastination from your life forever? Well, I think anybody who's in the behavior change, behavior design world knows that I just spoke two words that are death to change and that just aren't even in the cards, which is all and forever. Because change happens whether we do it deliberately or it happens to us, but nothing is ever static. And by trying to eliminate all procrastination from your life forever, you will never succeed. And so that's number one. That's just a really going out on thin ice to think that you can, never eat chocolate again, never have that, cup of delicious espresso right before you go to bed when you're out, or, you're out and you're going to go home and go to bed. Pretty soon you have that espresso. You can't resist that. I raised my hand on that one. But anyway, yes, the answer is yes, you can overdo, and it is impossible to eliminate all procrastinations. Take that off the table. And do you want to? Well, interestingly, Piers Steele, a world authority on procrastination, who has devoted a considerable part of his life to studying it and teaching people how to avoid it, answers with an emphatic yes. You can overdo it. And it's not recommended that you try to eliminate it totally. What's the downside? Well, here's what Piers Steele says. He says, a genuine and autonomous individual seeks a life endorsed by the whole self, not just a fragment of it. Trying to squelch your impulsive side entirely is ultimately self-defeating. That's because the desires and drives that propel so much of what we do depend upon being attended to. Seeking to completely do away with procrastination means overregulated, which isn't healthy, won't make you happy, and doesn't work. You have to find a balance between emotional short-sightedness of procrastination that sees only at the present and seeks immediate gratification, and rational farsightedness that focuses only on the future, robbing us of the opportunity for spontaneity, creativity, and joy. And I think that's really important, that sense of spontaneity, creativity, and joy, because it makes life worth living, it's enjoyable. And everyone's heard a version of that assertion that no one ever lies on their deathbed regretting not having put in more hours at work. And in fact, when asked about past regrets, workaholic employees say they wish they'd had occasionally goofed off. And exceptionally industrious students regret that they stuck to the books instead of taking advantage of spring break to have fun. So, were those people procrastinating? No. But at the end of the day, there were regrets that they didn't do more to bring that spontaneity, creativity, and joy into their lives. And so perhaps the greatest lesson is learning not how to deny your emotions and drives, including those that lead to procrastination, but to accept and respect them, and then take action in the service of your deeply held values. And going back to Piers Steele, and what he says about this is, not all indulgent delays are irrational. You need to have moments of expression, when you can laugh freely with friends, or let yourself go to be indulged and pampered, to be idle, frivolous, spontaneous, and whimsical. These qualities deserve a place in our lives too. And I think that's very beautiful to think not only, what do I need to do to keep the nose to the grindstone, be maximizing my productivity, but where do I embrace and let in the frivolity, the spontaneity, the whimsy, and the joy.
That's so interesting, and it makes me think about data tracking with health. And I'm a runner, and I track my runs on there. But sometimes there's a time when you just want to go and just do something for the fun of it, and go for a run or the hike without the tracking on there. And it definitely does feel different. There's something about the tracking being about an outcome or productivity, where just going out and enjoying the nature, it's just a whole completely different feel. And I think your mind is able to access different areas of thinking when you do that.
Yeah, and it makes me think about mindfulness in the way that Ellen Langer talks about it. And Ellen Langer is a psychologist, first woman to get tenure in Harvard's psychology department, and she's developed an approach to mindfulness that's Western, and it's not based on Eastern teachings. And to kind of summarize what her approach to mindfulness is notice new things. Notice the moment, each moment. And so I think that when we're tracking and we're so consumed with, are we being productive, that it's easy for us to fall outside of the moment, to not be mindful, to in a way, not really savor the moment because of our concern for the tracking. What's the tracking purpose for? It's to get to an outcome that's in the future. So when we let the Apple, the Fitbit or whatever it is, sit in the drawer for that day, and you go on the run, and as you said, you can really enjoy, smell the roses and hear the chirps of the birds and the buzz of the bees, then we really are able to be in the moment, mindful, savoring each moment. And, again, that's what brings joy to life.
And so it has me, I'm curious then, thinking, is there a productivity advantage to procrastination? Could you be working on the problem even when you are quote unquote procrastinating? Because I always say that your back processes, they're working on something while you're technically procrastinating. That's why when there's a deadline and you procrastinate, and then you finally get down to do the work, everything just pours out of you. But where did that all come from? You were blocked to do it at some point. You weren't doing it, and then all of a sudden it was super easy because it just flowed out of you. Obviously, the deadline helped, but there was something happening, I think, in like I said, the back processors.
I'm not literally rolling around laughing on the floor, but I figuratively am, because I'm wondering, were you in my house today when I went down to do the dishes probably 6 times? And do the dishes means, I washed a cup and then I had a little snack, so I washed my spoon, and usually I just dump it in the sink till the end of the day, probably 6 times. And why? Because I was working on a really hard writing challenge, and I let myself get up. When I feel stuck, I just get up, and then I go do something, quote, productive. And I always have great thoughts. I call it, and people who know me call it, my dishwashing thoughts or my shower thoughts. And sometimes in the past, when I've worked on hard problems, I've taken up to 3 or 4 showers a day, because it takes me away from that kind of intense enmeshment with the challenge. It gives my brain a chance just to relax and open to possibilities. And it is absolutely remarkable how fast the ideas come. And, flow isn't even a strong enough word. I mean, they just slam into my mindful presence. And it's amazing. So then I go back to my desk and I write some more, and then I hit another challenge and take a break. So that is a kind of, I call it active, productive procrastination. And the question is what you're doing away from the task, the specific task at hand, is what you're doing instead of that specific task, serving your ultimate purpose and helping you get to your outcome. Are you doing it in the service of the entire piece, or in the service of that journey towards your outcome? And the question could be yes, in terms of my showering and washing dishes, or some people have washing the kitchen floor. You would never catch me doing that, but some people do. And then contrast that with getting consumed with a video game that takes a different kind of concentration, is very addictive and gripping. And the last thing in your mind is thinking about the project, or even having that kind of open, spontaneous, that space of whimsy, spontaneity that allows productive ideas to come into it. If you're consumed and your attention is consumed with something else other than that task, that procrastination activity is not then serving your ultimate goal or outcome. And that's the difference, I think.
Yeah, so it feels like that to stop, beating yourself up if you step away from the work, I'm going to go for a hike or a walk, or take a shower, or whatever is your thing to go do to procrastinate, quote unquote. But really, it's lending itself to the outcome that you want to have. It is actually productive time.
Absolutely, it's productive, and I think that the more you can recognize, is this truly running away from something that's too hard, or are you stepping aside from the doing of the task to make space for more creative thinking that will help you complete the task? I think that's really what we need to differentiate.
Yeah.
And once you recognize that, then you may be able to do it much more deliberately. Say, oh, this is feeling hard. Got to go take the shower. Got to go walk the dog. Got to go smell the roses, and let your brain give your brain space.
Yeah, and there's neurobiologically there's supporting that too as well. When you're getting stuck in the grip there, your clusters of your neurons in your brain get too tight, and they get stuck talking to a small circle of itself and not allowing it to talk to all parts of your brain. And when you go for that, stepping away from it, and you do that activity, that allows for far-flung ideas to opening up the space, not only just physically opening up space, but you're mentally opening up more space for you to have those creative thoughts.
Yeah, I love that expression, stuck in the grip, or trapped in the grip. Yeah, and that's a question I think that might help you be more deliberate, just to notice, and ask yourself, am I stuck in the grip of this? I need to step away to give myself more space. So that's reframing that procrastination from procrastination being bad to, this is actually a useful tool that I'm using, and reframing it away from it, because procrastination has such the bad connotation on it, and saying, no, this is an active, deliberate state that I'm putting myself into to be able to actually achieve the outcome that I want to have. Right. And I'm wondering how we might, it'd be interesting just to invite anyone who's listening to come up with your own languaging about that. Are you, caught in the grip? Ask yourself, am I stuck in the grip? Am I trapped in the grip? Do I need to step away to give myself more space, or whatever that languaging is, instead of, do I need to put it off? Because procrastination is putting things off. Am I putting it off, or am I giving giving myself a different way to look at it?
I think even if you're wanting, I'm just curious, even if you're running away from it, I think if you stop and you reframe it to like, no, I'm trying to find things to do to help give me space, that actually can move you from inactive to active, or passive to active procrastination, where you're actually doing it in a deliberate way, just by saying to yourself, being kind to yourself, and giving yourself, okay, I know I'm not doing it right this moment, and how can I continue to work on it with my back processes, as I like to say, in a more active way.
Yeah. And then it occurs to me that not to diss anybody who's doing their video gaming, but maybe sometimes we do need to put off and take a total break and get consumed with something else. And it is truly procrastination. You may need it. You know, it's
You may
not,
need it,
this,
yeah.
this is not the procrastination. There's no moral judgment if you're procrastinating. There are things that where it's very debilitating to be stuck in patterns of procrastination, but sometimes you may just need to do it. And I think that is, being honest about where we're at. It's respecting, it's respecting the emotional challenges that may have arisen from having to do a task that's noxious or abhorrent, something. And, they're things that is part of the journey of life and grappling with those challenges.
So procrastination can be good.
Absolutely.
All right, that's fantastic. And it sounds like a great place for us to wrap up. Thank you, Deborah. And thank you, everyone, for listening. Now we want to hear from you. How will you use what you just heard today? Please leave a comment below. And while you're down there, feel free to comment on other people's comments. That's how we generate a community of helpful ideas and suggestions. I also want to let everyone know to check out beyourownbestcoach.com, where you can find a collection of programs and action guides to help you accelerate your career and boost your well-being, including the ultimate guide to getting things done without procrastinating. That's beyourownbestcoach.com. Thanks again for listening, and stay well.